How's it going, everybody? Would like to welcome all of you back. Thank all the subscribers that have coming and going, whether you're new or old or anything in between, new and old in the respects of how long you've been a subscriber of the channel. I would also like to thank anybody that's stopping by just because of the fact that they are. Even if you're not a subscriber, hey, thanks for stopping by. So, most of you know that I am studying and taking the CCNP service provider exams so that I earn that certification. Well, guess what? If you didn't already know by the title of this video, I passed advanced route. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a couple minute breakdown as to what I thought about advanced route and some of the things that I'm going to be doing to improve upon what I've already done. I mean, obviously none of you have seen any of the content that I put out. So keep in mind that over my right hand shoulder is my CCIA plaque. So in case you couldn't make that out. Not everybody does. That's why I pointed out. So a lot of times I do pretty good on, and when I mean pretty good, I am fortunate enough to be able to pass an exam on the first attempt. My score may not be the greatest, but at least I was able to earn enough points to pass. So actually, let me stop there for just a moment and talk about the exam itself when it comes to it from a scoring perspective. Whenever you take a Cisco exam, I don't have a sheet in front of me, or else I would show you what I mean. Basically, the way that they score is you start, they grade you on a scale of 300 to 1,000. 1,000 obviously being you answered every question correctly. So great, if that's the way it works out, awesome. Well, the way that you're graded is you automatically start off with 300 points. That's why they start you with 300 and will go to 1,000. So you have a 700 point range that you can earn points in. So obviously, if you only scored 585 or 663 or something like that, you only added either 285 or 333 points or whatever it was, to get you that perspective. So that means you only got about a third of the exam correct. So depending on whatever the passing score is, that is how many points you earned. Now, you don't start at 1,000 and work your way down. You start at 300 and work your way up. So I can't answer if there is partial credit or not, or if, like, if you get multiple choice, multiple answer. So, like, if they ask you, what are the, 3 things that you need to worry about with multicast? Well, you need to turn multicast running on globally. You need to set the RP address, and then you need to specify which interfaces are going to run multicast. Something along those lines. Now, that wasn't a question on my exam, but it's more of a for instance. Well, if you didn't remember to enter, enable multicast on an interface, you may have only gotten partial credit for that question. I don't know if they do partial credit or not. My assumption is that they do offer partial credit because I have gotten test results back where I get an odd number. And I'm like, well, that seems kind of weird. Unless it's just I only got, say, you got 15 points for that question, and it just happens to be that the ones that I earned, it told to be an odd number of points. I don't know. I really don't care. But what I wanted to point out and let everybody know is you start off with 300 and you work your way up. So you don't start at 1,000 and work your way down. So I've already got the advanced route course mostly recorded. So I've got, I think, 48 videos that I've done to date. I'm probably going to be adding in a couple of videos here just because it's going to be some material that I saw in the exam that needs to be talked about in a bit more detail and go from there. Obviously, you won't know what, INE won't know. Only I will. And I won't divulge what it is that, you won't know from one video to the next whether it was content that I saw in the exam or not. Unless you get very, very ingenious and you learn to watch what I'm doing, you might be able to pick things out. But that's the benefit of me. I know how to change things in the exam or change things in the video to where you won't know if it was recorded early or if it was recorded, a couple weeks ago. So the other thing that I want everybody to keep in the back of your mind is that Um, my exam experience may be completely different than yours. And I don't mean that from a pass or a fail. I mean that from what you are able to answer and what you're not able to answer. The reason I say that is because of the fact that a lot of the questions that I'm asked, I already have a very strong understanding and implementation experience, troubleshooting experience, real world hands-on experience on everything that we're being tested on. So one of the things that definitely needs to be understood is that because I already have a CCIE, that does give me an edge when it comes to taking a CCNP level exam in technologies that are very close to what I've already become a CCIE in. So when when I'm answering questions on IPv4 and IPv6 BGP and multicast, these are things that I've already dealt with. I've already got operational experience in them, so I've got an edge, and that helps me answer the questions and stuff like that. I keep that in mind though. When I take the exam, the route and advanced route exams were about 60 questions each, all written questions. There was no simulations that I had to go configure anything, but the bulk of it was pretty much written exam. So what I do is I try to do what I call one level removed. I say, okay, let's read the question and look at the answers. A lot of times I will literally put my hand up over, if it's the question, like on my screen, I'll put my hand over the answers and I'll read just the question. And I'll be like, okay, why does XYZ do this with XYZ feature? And then I'll read the answers. And a lot of times I already know the answer, but I have to read the answers to see which one they are offering up as an answer matches the closest to what I would do. And then I may have to reread the question to pick the right answer because there might be multiple options that are very close. So that's one of the things I would recommend you guys do as well, is try to answer the question as exactly the way it's being asked. So if you say, what is the one command to enable a BGP on a router? Well, the moment you type in router BGP and hit the enter key, or type in router BGP 100 and hit commit an XR, you've enabled the BGP process. You're just not doing anything with it. So you automatically enable the ports to be listening on the router from the control plane. The ports have been opened. So if you get a question like that, you're going to know how to answer it. But you might look at it, and were several questions and several answers that I read today where I was like, man, I had to stop and think, because I was able to, based off of my understanding, I was able to say, okay, well, that could be it too. This could be it too. I could enable it underneath that as well, depending on the situation. But I have to one level remove myself. I have to act as if I am a CCNA coming into a CCNP level exam. I have to act as if I don't know. And that's been difficult, to say the least, because I'm quick to say, oh, okay, that's it. And then I have to go, oh, hang on a minute. So what I wanted to do, while I've got you guys here, is talk a little bit about how that worked out. So what I always do is I always look at the questions and the answers, and I say, okay, let's assume that we're not doing that, so that eliminates. So I do a process of elimination when I take the exam, and I say, okay, obviously it's not going to be D, because D would be maybe answer D was if you were going to be running, say, auto RP, and you were going to do the send RP announce and send RP discovery. Or you were, static routing, but it's IPv6, and the question is more embedded RP, where the exam says, do this command here, but you realize that that's setting the RP address, which with embedded RP, the embedded RP is not done on the rendezvous point. It's actually done on the listener with the MLD group command, and you type in the embedded RP syntax, which I go over that in the advanced route course. So there's things in there that need to be understood, and you have to be able to infer or try to understand what it is that they're asking you. And I wish there was a way that I could take like a bunch of Cisco exams and just run you through and kind of my thought process just to give you that much more leverage when you're taking the test. So now, with that being said, there is some videos that I have to add, like I said, and which are going to be covering some of the topics that you see on your screen right now. I won't go into detail what they are or what I'll be adding. Just when you guys watch the videos, everything in there, and one of the reasons why I record the entire exam before I go take the exam is I've got the bulk of it done. I go through what I think needs to be covered, and then I go sit for the exam. Now, I know they probably have a very large pool of questions per exam, and that's fine. If their exam question pool is, say, 250 questions, and I got 60, that means I only saw a quarter of the pool, which means that, theoretically speaking, and it's probably closer to like 150 questions, not 250, but these are, I will add in material just a little bit. I'm not going to add an entire section of, say, 20 videos just because of the fact that I feel like this needs to be covered in that much more detail. I'll add in a couple of videos here and a couple of videos there just because of the fact that I saw it on the exam and I'm like, okay, well, you might get this, so I'll add this in here, going based off of what I've already covered. So these are some things that I'll be adding in here and there and go from there. Now, keep in mind that I know I mentioned a transitions course for those of you that have got a CCNP and you're moving towards CCIE. Those being MPLS, DMBPN, quality of service, and multicast. Those are the 4 new topic areas you're going to be introduced to into CCIE when you start going to study for it. So basically what you're doing is you're having to go from basically 0 to hero in that time frame, whatever time frame it is that you're learning that. So I know a lot of people that have spent 3 and 4 months just going through MPLS because you don't really get exposed to MPLS in the routing and switching track until you're at the CCIE level, or at least when you're studying for CCIE. When you're in service provider, you're exposed to this stuff in CCNA, and then you're exposed to it heavily in CCNP, and even there's gobs and gobs and gobs of it in CCIE. I actually can't wait to get to start studying for CCIE. I'm like chomping at the bit. So with that being said, one of the things that I'll be doing here over the next, at the beginning of October, I have a November 1st deadline that I'm trying to beat. Meaning, I have about 2 weeks before I'm supposed to have advanced route, or sorry, core done, which not a problem. I'll have it done before then. And then I also have about a month before I have to have Edge done. So I've already signed the contracts for CCNP service provider with INE. The contracts were signed. I talked to them probably a week or 2 ago and said, hey, I've already got a bunch of videos recorded. What I'm going to be doing is I will go ahead and record all the videos that I need necessary. I'll put them in the right order. I'll give the information that needs to be given to INE to them. I'll start uploading. So what I would hope that they would do, and I have to talk to them yet, is go through and say, hey guys, I'd like it if you would release these video courses in waves. So like do route, then advanced route, then core, and then edge. I'm planning on doing both core and edge at the same time this time. So because there's so much overlap, it makes more sense to do that. It actually, overall, it made a lot more sense just to do all the videos at one fell swoop than it does anywhere else, but it's just the way that it works. So I'm planning on doing edge or core and edge at the same time. I've actually still got to wrap up the slide decks for both courses, and I will be able to kick off those courses and get them done, and then I can pass it off to INE and say, all right, here you go, guys, and more power to you, arrivederci, and away we go. Because once I consider myself signed off to where I've done all of the material that needs to be done, then I can start digging into CCIE. And for those of you that saw my CCNP update, I haven't started doing anything for CCIE yet, mainly for the fact that I want to knock out CCNP first. So I'm thinking within the next month I should be done with the courses and I'll be taking the exams. And the reason why is I spent a lot of time in MPLS and I want to just blow through it. You know, um, I'll be spending more time in Edge simply for the fact that there's a lot of extraneous detail that needs to be gone through. So we'll be going through all the different inter-AS VPN structures, A, B, C, carrier supporting carrier. We'll be dealing with all the layer 2 circuit capabilities that you'll be tested on, so Atom and VPLS and things like that. I'll be talking about a lot about those in detail. So I'm also going to be throwing in multicast VPN, not the advanced stuff that you'll see in the next generation multicast VPN, but more of the data and default MDTs, and talking about how they come into play and some of the things that you'll need to worry about those, and go from there. But that's pretty much where I'm at with everything. And hopefully, like I said, I'm hoping inside of the next three weeks to a month to be completely done with everything. I think core isn't going to take a ton of time to go through because really there's not that much to go over. Edge will take a little bit longer because it's going to be a little bit more involved. I'm adding a lot to it that you won't be tested on, but it will be bringing what you've learned in, say, advanced route with multicast into the, what do you call it? Uh, um, it'll make more sense. The other thing I'm going to point out, and I'm going to do this in the introductory videos for all of the different certification exams that I do for service provider in the actual INE courses, I would recommend everybody go through all of the 4 courses that I'm doing before you take one CCNP exam. Why? Because I have seen questions on the exams that defer your understanding to another course, and they ask you questions that might skew outside of what you may study, and you may get tripped up on that. So there were questions that I saw, and I won't talk about what they were. There were questions that I saw in the exam that if I didn't know other technologies and other rollouts in the detail that I do, I wouldn't have been able to answer the question. So I would highly recommend that you watch Route, Advanced Route, Core, and Edge before you go sit for any one of the exams. You don't have to know this stuff inside and out. You don't have to be able to configure everything. What I would recommend is you do that. That way here, you've been exposed to everything that you might need to know about, and you'll be able to go through and glean that information. This way here, you'll have seen all the different technologies, you'll seen all the different areas of control and things like that that need to be covered, and then you'll be that much better prepared in case they do ask you a weird question in route about core or a weird question in advanced route about edge. You know, things like that. There's, if you don't know, you don't know, but at least my advice to you would be to go through all 4 courses, then take the one, and then go back through, and this way here you've got a solid foundation of all 4. Now, why do I say that? Well, the reason why I say it that way is because I've already gone through INE's Service Provider version 3 course. I've got to go back through it a couple more times because there's some things that I need to cover that are still a little, I won't say shaky, but I feel like I need more time on them before I would feel comfortable passing that information off to you guys and going from there. So there's a couple things that I need to go through, and it's mainly stuff that I don't deal with on a regular basis that I'm like, well, you know what, I'm not 100% sure. Let me just go back through and watch this video a couple more times just so that I know I feel confident enough that I'd be able to deliver the material accurately. So it's more of a, okay, do I know this stuff well enough to teach it type of deal? So I'm just doing like a sanity check to make sure I know what's going on and all is well. But beyond that, that's what's going on. I want to try to keep this video short because I don't want to sit there and ramble on. But that's my, if you will, that is going to be my best advice to you if you're interested in going forward with that. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for all their support. If you guys have any questions, If there's anything that you would like to see in any of the courses, mind you, none of them have been uploaded to INE at the time of this recording. I'll probably be starting that this weekend, and going from there. I don't know how long that's going to take. I'm actually going to record some stuff tonight and get that going, and I'm going to try to backfill in some of the supplemental content that I saw in the exams into the current exam blueprints, and then I'll get those shipped off and ready to go. If there's something you would like to see, even if you're not sure whether I've covered it or not, throw it in the comments below so that I have, it's something that I can glean off of and say, okay, well, let's say viewer number 1 says, hey, I would love to see a lot of IPv6 BGP. Okay, well, then that's something I would have to take into consideration when I'm doing the recording. Or do a lot of 6VPE and do a lot of, make sure you go into a lot of detail on carrier supporting carrier. I really struggle with that particular feature or something along those lines. Tell me what it is if you would like to see something covered, and even if whether it's covered or not, at least that'll be something I can add in as user requested content, because then that's something that you were looking for me, and I can oblige by covering the material and hopefully, bridge that gap for you. But beyond that, you guys have been awesome. I would, again, thank you for all the support. If it wasn't for all of you, this channel would not grow the way that it does. So if you know anybody that's in IT or trying to break into it, send them my direction. Bang that subscriber button, give me a thumbs up,